What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Yo, it's Bry-Fy coming live through your Wi-Fi. One-man show, but I'm feeling like a sci-fi. Comic books, video games, catching them all. Pokemon cards stacked, yeah, I'm ready to brawl. From Marvel to DC, I break it all down. Nifty nerd news, got the geeky rundown. Pop culture hits, movies and shows. I stay in the know while the fandom grows. So plug in, tune up, press play, let's ride. This is the Bry-Fy, baby, welcome to the vibe.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and this is episode 141. So welcome, thank you guys. We've taken 2 weeks off just to kind of, relax. I mentioned in the last episode that you guys heard, episode 140, I was on vacation, and me and the family were. We had a wonderful time in Colorado and got to visit family, see some really cool sights like the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, and got to travel around Denver, which was really neat. Stopped at a card store there. God, I wish I remember what it was called. It was small, but had like a huge selection, which was really great. And then we also stopped by Mile High Comics in Denver, which I've done before, and I've talked about it in a previous episode a couple years back. So not in my new iteration of the podcast, but in a previous iteration. But we went back there, and Mile High Comics is amazing because I'm pretty sure that it is the largest comic book store in the world, because it's a giant warehouse just full from wall to wall of comics, trades, pops, figurines, other crazy cool collectibles. It's amazing, man. And it was just great. And funny enough, I didn't buy anything when I was there. Just really didn't see anything that I was really looking for while at Mile High Comics, but did buy a book for a friend. And then my son found a Pokemon plush that he's really into. Some of his favorite Pokemon right now are these electric bird types from the new series, Wattrel and Kilowattrel. And we found a Wattrel plush. And so my son was like, I have to have it. And dude, this thing, direct from Pokemon Center, but it was $40 for this plush. I could not believe it. But, you can't put a price on your child's happiness, right? So that was a good time. And then, of course, getting to just hang out with the family and we went whitewater rafting. That was really cool. It was a pretty calm river, but there were some like small rapids. So that was a lot of fun. And RJ had a blast. And Casey went with us too, which was awesome. And so it was just a lot of fun. And now I think I'm kind of addicted because that was just really cool and a lot of fun to do. But yeah, so that was, what we'd been up to. And then come back, worked, kind of took a break just to relax. And now time to get back into it, man. Before we left, or the last time I left y'all, I said I had checked out a few things and I wanted to review them. So today we will be talking about one of the things I got to check out. And that was while on the flight to Denver, Colorado, was Captain America Brave New World. Now, if you've listened to Comic Cast and the live show at Comic Palooza and me being a part of that, if you haven't heard it, you should go hear it. But if you have heard it, we placed Captain America Brave New World. I don't want to say it wasn't at the bottom, but it was definitely my first pick. And we started from the bottom up. And a lot of what I had to say about it was due to just the terrible marketing. It had nothing to draw me to want to watch this movie, and the only reason why I did watch it was because I was going to be trapped in a metal screaming bullet for the next 2 hours, and I needed something to watch, and it happened to fit under the 2-hour mark. Like we were flying United Airlines, and they had like a movies under 2 hours category, and like one of the first movies that popped up was Captain America Brave New World, and I was like, you know what? Let's check it out. I'm on here, nothing else to do. I'm terrified of being in an airplane, so maybe this will take my mind off of it, which it really did. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But up first, got to talk about some nifty nerd news. All right, guys, up first in the nifty nerd news. So, James Gunn's been doing a lot of press for the Superman movie that I think is out now, which at first I think there was like a leaked, what do you call them? A leaked review saying that it was just god awful, it was terrible, this and that. But from everything that I've been seeing now online and from other people and what I suspected, was that it's actually really good. One, James Gunn, I think, does a good job at making movies. I mean, look at the Guardians of the Galaxy. He took a superhero team that no one had any idea about, at least not general public knowledge, and made them into household names, dude. And you know, he even took the Suicide Squad, which DC at the time didn't have a lot of great movies until the Suicide Squad came, and then that really like turned things around for DC when you look at public opinion of it. And so I knew in my heart that like, so this movie wasn't going to be bad, and so it was really weird to see like this weird leaked review talking about how awful it was. What I'm beginning to think is just some Snyder bro trying to shit on this movie because it's not the Zack Snyder world. Whatever. But so, you know, Superman's come out. A lot of people seem to really like it. I want to go try to get some eyes on it because I want to like it. Well, I want to be one of those people that's like, wow, I liked it for this and that too. But anyway, he's been doing a lot of press for this. And one of the questions was brought up is like, hey, is there ever a possibility that we could see a Marvel and DC film crossover, like a Spider-Man and a Superman team up? And I think it was meant as kind of, you know, just kind of fun stuff like that, because we are seeing Marvel and DC doing like their joint comics again. So they're doing some stories on like these characters teaming up, which is really cool. And so why not ask, you know, like, let's have fun, let's play with this. And you know, James Gunn said like we could. It, you know, it's got to be like the right story and it's got to be the right person, because we want to tell a good story. We don't want it to just be a big cash grab to get these two together to make a bunch of money. We want it, you know, to have some value to it other than monetary value, which I respect. You know, like he basically saying like it's probably not going to happen, but like I'm open to it, which is really cool. And, you know, James Gunn now is pretty much helming the DC entertainment universe. So with Superman doing a good job, maybe it could help give him more pull in movies going forward. And maybe, who knows, maybe with Marvel and the way the things in Marvel are going, they might, you know, be willing to cross the line or, you know, step over the line. No, what's cross the aisle? That's what I'm looking for. Reach across the aisle. And maybe they could join hands in this beautiful marriage of Marvel DC team ups or something like, or what if type stories, Elseworld type stories where the characters interact with each other. I don't know. It could be really cool. And another part of the interview with James Gunn, he did talk about though that his most important movies coming up next are going to be the Wonder Woman and Batman movies, which, I mean, yeah, duh, right? You're going to introduce these new characters. You're working on getting like the Justice League set up and things like that. But it seems like with the Superman movie, without spoiling too much, I mean, we've seen them in the trailers. We are getting like a Green Lantern. I think Hawkgirl's in there, Mr. Terrific. So we could be building up another like part of the Justice League with these characters, which from what I've seen, Mr. Terrific looks freaking awesome. He seems really cool, so I'm excited to see him in action and things like that. And of course, Nathan Fillion as his Green Lantern character seems really shitty, but like funny shitty. And so I don't know. God, I want to see this movie so bad. But yeah, man, hearing James Gunn talking these interviews has me kind of excited. Like, what could happen? Like, what are the possibilities, right? In other movie news, I had no idea this was happening, but apparently a trailer was released for a Red Sonja movie. And Red Sonja is a comic book character. She's like this badass warrior who wears like this skimpiest metal outfit. And so I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. Let me check this out. And then I saw the poster for the Red Sonja movie, and then I started watching the trailer, and then I started to realize, wow, this looks like a made for TV film. Like, I mean, not to say that it's going to be bad, but it doesn't look great. And I mean, honestly, my knowledge on Red Sonja is very limited. All I know, badass warrior, wears bikini chainmail, and has red hair. And that's as much as I know, right? she's sexy, she's badass. I mean, what else is there to worry about? No. But I will say the poster looks absolutely not great. Like, I've seen better like Photoshop request work on Reddit than what this studio made poster looks like. And I don't know, man. I'm sure there's probably going to be a fan edit out there that makes it look a little cooler, a little more badass. But whatever the studio's putting out, it ain't cutting it. And in fact, I don't even know what studio is doing this. Let me see. Let me turn down the volume. Go to the trailer, see if it'll tell me. I don't even know if it's got a studio out here. Directed by M.J. Bassett, starring Matilda Lutz, Martin Ford, Robert Sheehan, Wallace Day, Michael Bisping. People I don't have any idea who any of these people are. Oh, so it's Samuel Goldwyn Films, which is a major independently owned and operated motion picture company that develops, produces, and distributes innovative feature films. They have distributed such things as 2021 Academy Award winning film Another Round. Recent releases include Outlaw Johnny Black from Michael J. White, In the Land of Saints and Sinners starring Liam Neeson and Carrie Condon, Absolution with Liam Neeson, The Count of Monte Cristo, and yeah. Don't know too much about it, man. But like I said, unfortunately, I don't know. Like, I want to like it because, this is like an independent character, much like the Invincibles and things like that was really popular, but has yet to see like mainstream movie success. And so, like, you want to root for it, but this iteration just doesn't look that great, so I'm kind of worried about it. Switching gears, let's go, since we're kind of talking about comics and things like that. So a new company, or I say new company, but, it is a new company being reintroduced or being brought up by former Comixology execs, trying to revolutionize the digital comics market with a completely new platform called Neon Ichiban. And what's pretty interesting is they've already got Marvel and DC and who else was it? I think Image is on board with them now. It seems like they're getting a lot of the big comic book. Dark Horse, or not Image, I'm sorry. Dark Horse, Oni Press, Vault Comics. I've already kind of agreed to like, hey, yeah, let's try this thing out to go with this digital comics platform. Now, what makes this different than Comixology and some of the other ones that we've seen before it is that, I guess in layman's terms, these comics are going to pretty much be NTFs. And we remember our NFTs. Would I say NTFs? NFTs. And we've seen what NFTs can do to a thing and how destructive it can be, but basically what they want to do, and I'm not saying they're turning these into NTFs, but they're going to use that same motto or like same ideal where each digital comic is its own special comic. So everyone's going to have like issue 1 of The Walking Dead or whatever, but your comic your digital issue number 1 that you buy is unique and different. Why is that important? Well, this company with Neo Ichiban wants to make it where you can sell your digital comics. So basically there will be a secondary used, quote unquote, used digital market, digital comic market where you can buy and sell comics, and hopefully for cheaper things. But they're also going to offer like variant comics, like variant cover comics for them, like site specific. So only coming out to Neon Ichiban, these types of covers, comic covers. And it looks like they want to add like sketch covers. So artists will do sketches and then you can purchase those sketches. And then if you don't want it anymore, you can sell it. So a way to add collectability and value. to the digital comic market, which I think is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty cool, but at the same time, you run the risk, like with anything that from physical to digital, like, I collect physical comics and physical games. So if those companies ever go under, then I still have my physical copy of the game, right? But now if this Neon Ichiban, for whatever reason, this website goes down, this company goes down, what does that mean for these digital comics that you paid for? Are you still going to have access to them? Like Netflix, if Netflix goes under and you are, well, I guess Netflix is a bad example because you don't purchase any movies from there, but like Amazon or things like that, if they, for whatever reason, their movie division goes under, what happens to all those purchases that you made, right? You no longer have access to those if the sites go down. So that is like always my big fear with the digital market. But maybe there's a way where you download them or they're downloaded to something, but then like how much space are you using if you're doing that? Like, I don't know. There's a lot to still, for me personally, that I want to see hashed out with this, but I like the idea. I like especially the resale value, like being able to like, hey, I've got my fill of this comic book, and I want to resell it and maybe buy new digital comics instead, and maybe that's a cool way. Maybe there'll be a way to offer where you can do free trades or something like, hey, this guy was willing to trade you to read this or something like that, because in the secondary market, maybe they'll allow the customers to set the prices and everything with that, which would be really cool if that could happen, but probably not. So we'll have to see how that goes. Let's move on to some video game stuff. So, of course, the Switch 2 has come out here recently, and it is now impossible to find one. I had an opportunity to buy a Switch 2, but it wasn't the Mario Kart World bundle, and I was like, well, I don't want to buy it unless I get the bundle. And now I'm kind of regretting it because I absolutely cannot find Nintendo Switch 2s anywhere. So I probably should have just spent the money to get it then and then buy the game later. But, I was trying to save like $30 because like the game itself was like $80, right? Some 80 or $90 for Mario Kart World. And with buying it with the console, you were getting it for only like $50. So you were, like I said, you were saving like $30 doing it that way. And I'm stingy, dude. I don't like spending money. And so I was trying to save money, and now here I am, unable to spend any amount of money to get me a Nintendo Switch 2. But with that being said, Xbox is now marketing and preparing to release the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X, which is going to be their handheld version of the Xbox to basically compete with the Switch, which now is making me believe, or now not just make me believe, but now is confirming the suspicions that I had that Xbox would not be working with the Switch. I wanted it to so bad. They had, I think, alluded at one point to like try to get their hardware or their software out, like games, out to other systems, and because like being able to sell their products on multiple systems only makes them more money, right? And then they don't have to handle the hardware or anything from that. So I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. But now them coming out with their own handheld version of an Xbox makes it seem like they're directly competing with the Nintendo Switches. And I'm sure PlayStation's got one too. I just can't remember. And so yeah, my cross-platform, like playing Halo on my Nintendo Switch now just seems like a foregone dream that will not come true. But I'm very interested now in the Xbox Ally X and Ally because it also looks like it's not just strictly Xbox, but it looks like it's going to be like PC gaming. I think they said they're going to work with Battle.net, I think that's what it's called, to get all kinds of games onto these allies, or essentially the Xbox Switch, whatever you want to call it. But they're going to have different ways to play where you can either have games locally on the handheld console, you can use Xbox Cloud Gaming, remote play from a system. So that way, whether you're at home or on the go, you're going to be able to play your favorite Microsoft games on this thing, which, sounds really cool. Sounds really great. I have yet to see any demos of this thing, so how well is it going to work? Who knows? Is it going to be as good as like what is it, the Steam Deck or anything? Is it going to be better than the Steam Deck? How's it going to compare to the Nintendo Switch 2? They're saying the battery life is definitely going to be better, but until it's out, until it's in playtesters' hands, I don't know, right? Like I said, there are two versions of it, the Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X, kind of like what they did with the Series S and the Series X. And I have both. And I will tell you this, between the two, there is a very slight difference between the Xbox Series X versus the S. But I love my S because it's slim and it, plays games just as good, right? I don't really see too big of a difference when playing between the two. But with the Allies, one of the big differences that I've seen is the memory storage space, where the Xbox Ally, the base model, if you will, only has about 512 gigabytes for storage, but it does allow for upgrade, which is pretty cool. The Ally X is going to give you 1 terabyte of storage and still able to upgrade it, man. You're getting a 7-inch full HD 120 hertz refresh rate screen on there. It's going to be really awesome. Looks like it's got the base model has 2 USB ports with a Type-C display port and for power, as well. So getting to the Type-C stuff is going to be really good. The Ally X looks like it has a Type-C, 2 Type-Cs for its ports and stuff. So it has a display port and another, well, I guess they're both displays. I don't know. But the Ally X has 2 Type-C connections, where the Ally has a Type-C for power and 2 USBs. And also the Ally X comes with a 3.5 millimeter audio jack for sound. Oh, no, they both have one. Sorry. I was reading down the list, and one was in one box, the other was in a different box. So yeah, they both have an audio jack, which makes a ton of sense, right? Both going to come with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi stuff. The battery in the Ally X, though, of course, is going to be better versus the 60 watt in the normal. It's going to be an 80 watt hour one, so that's really good with that. And they're going to come with charger stands, which, you got to, right? If the Switch has it, it's got to have it, right? Like I said, I'm excited at the idea of this, but until I see it in action, until I see what actual battery life is going to look like, I'm going to be reserved about this, because let me look up Nintendo Switch 2 battery. It uses a capacity of 5220 micro ohm hours. I don't know how to read that. What the watt? I'm gonna put watt hours. 19.3. So the batteries are supposed to be much larger in the Xbox Ally ones compared to the Nintendo Switch 2 ones. And from everything that I've seen with people talking about using Nintendo Switch 2s, the battery gets you like 2 to 3 hours of gameplay before it's like desperately needs to charge. So with like 3 times the power, you're probably going to get from 2 to like 6 to 10 hours with the Xbox One in handheld mode before you need to charge it. So, honestly, if I'm gaming more than 2 hours, something's wrong. Like my brain, I'm old, so my eyes are going to start hurting. My head's going to start hurting. So honestly, like a lot of people complain about the Switch 2 battery life, but I'm thinking to myself, that's about as much as I would play in one sitting at like max. So not that bad in my opinion. But I understand, like for me, I might not play 2-hour sessions or more than 2-hour sessions, but I would play multiple times, a few minutes here and there, and battery life not lasting more than 2-3 hours on a vacation could be problematic for me unless I'm able to charge it consistently throughout the vacation. So I can see some issues there, but hopefully The Xbox Ally does not have that issue. But like I said, I'm reserved but hopeful. And moving on to the final bit of nifty nerd news for you guys today. One of my favorite TV shows has just been confirmed that it's getting another sequel slash reboot series with it. I don't know what you want to call it. They're calling it the Scrubs reboot, but it looks like it's going to be more of a sequel to the original Scrubs TV series. And of course, if you're not familiar with the Scrubs TV show, it's a comedy TV show about a group, it was like medical interns becoming doctors, and just their life stories and relationships and character development throughout being doctors and being people and being in love, being in hate, and just having goofy side quest stories and things like that. Of course, it starred Zach Braff, Don Faison, Sarah Chalk as JD, Turk, and Barbie. No, Elliot. And I don't know, man. It's just, I'm happy. I'm really happy because I was a huge fan of Scrubs. I was sad when it ended. I mean, it had been going on for a long time. I think we were, eight seasons into the show. Then they tried to do a spin-off series with a new cast, but use some of the old cast to try to help send them off. And that really only lasted a season before that got canceled, which sucks because, I wanted to like it. I didn't, but I wanted to like it. And now it looks like they're coming back. But if I'm not mistaken, Zach Braff, Don Faison are now older than what's his name, John C. McGinley was. He was Dr. Cox in the show. I think they're older than he was back when they first filmed it. But I would like to think that they're now going to play that role of the older doctors that are now mentoring the new ones. But is it going to focus more on the new set of doctors, or is it going to focus on these guys still, Zach, Sarah, and Donald's characters still going for? I don't know. But what the good part about this is, and the thing that makes me most excited, is that the original showrunner for Scrubs is back. The guy, what's his name? Bill. Oh my God. Bill Lawrence. There you go. He's done stuff like Ted Lasso. Well, not just stuff like that. He does Ted Lasso, right? And so getting to get Bill Lawrence back into it, I mean, this dude made this show a hit, right? And it was fun because he would cameo in it every now and then and things like that. And I remember Bill Lawrence's wife played Dr. Cox's wife in the show. Oh God, what was her name? It's been so long, I can't remember. But a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. I'm excited to see what happens, man. I'm excited. Is Carla gonna be in it? Judy Reyes, is she gonna be there? Dr. Cox, is he gonna be there? Some of the old characters are gonna make the janitor. Are they gonna be there? Man, I don't know. This. I usually poo-poo on the nostalgia grab that Hollywood and things have been doing, but it's Scrubs, man. I love Scrubs. Scrubs is my favorite show, and I can't think of any bad episode when watching it. I feel like every episode was a banger, and anytime it's on something on a TV or somewhere, I watch it because it's fun. I loved it, man. I love these characters. I love just their interactions and the silliness of it. And what's really funny about this show, I remember a long time ago, my father, who is in law enforcement, he's dealt with firefighters and EMS doctors and things like that, being a police officer. And I've asked him what he thought the best medical show, or what show was most accurate in depicting these people, first responders or emergency personnel. And I remember my dad telling me he said Scrubs is almost exactly like how it is in real life. These people are nuts, they're crazy, and you kind of have to be because the environment that you live in. And I thought about it, and then thinking back now when I was a 911 dispatch operator, like in dealing with the county officers that I worked with and other people like the city, like we worked with them, the fire department stuff like that. Like there are a lot of silly moments, and but like you have to have a lot of these silly moments because there are a lot of serious ones too, like, or like maybe not a bunch where I was, thankfully, but like because of the serious moments that you had in your job, the ability to laugh it off and not push it down, but like basically push it away and like roll with the punches and laugh it off and be able to move on, like have a short memory, is what allows you to keep doing what you're doing. It allows you not to let it eat at you, because like I've had a couple of serious calls when I was a 911 dispatch operator, but I've had a lot of silly calls, and those are the ones I always recount, are the silly calls, because those were the ones that like kept me going. Those were the ones that like made it fun to be a 911 operator and like made it silly and made for fun stories. Where the sad ones, they hurt. Like they bother you if you don't have the right people to talk with it about, or you don't have the right people to help pull you from that dark place. And so that's why I think my dad said like Scrubs is probably the most realistic one, because that's how a lot of people act and react to these things. They're silly. They have to be, because life is serious. It's not all Grey's Anatomy, people. That's the most unreal. I mean, honestly, if you ever watch Grey's, it is like the most unrealistic doctor show I've ever seen, because of just how tragic this place is on a day-to-day basis. Anyway, that's all that I got, man. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but thank you guys so much for listening to the Nifty Nerd News. If you stick around, you're going to hear my thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World. If you haven't watched it yet, get out of here, go watch it, come back, and we'll talk a little bit about it. Maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't, and maybe I might see this movie in a new light compared to where I originally placed it within the new MCU phase movies. So be right back, guys.
So plug in, tune up, press play, let's ride. This is Bry-Fy, baby, welcome to the vibe.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning back into the Bry-Fy podcast, episode 141. Today we are talking about Captain America: Brave New World, one of Marvel's newer movies. Just came out before the Thunderbolts, but funny enough, I watched the Thunderbolts first. So not that I got super spoiled on Captain America: Brave New World, but they do make a little reference to that movie. But I kind of based on the trailers for Captain America: Brave New World, I kind of already had the gist of what this movie was going to be about. And, of course, I read one review, so I knew who the main villain was with Captain America: Brave New World. So, there was no surprises going in for me. Of course, stars Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, has Harrison Ford playing Thaddeus Ross, Danny Ramirez playing, what is his name? Joaquin Torres, who is like the new Falcon. So Sam Wilson's sidekick. You have Tim Blake Nelson playing the villain, Dr. Stearns, a.k.a. the leader. And then, of course, we had fan favorite Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder, and Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley. There's a couple other people in the cast, but those were the big names, right? So pretty much spoilers going ahead. Just a quick rundown of the story. Sam and Joaquin, they end up going to Mexico to try to stop a black market sale, which involves Sidewinder and an unknown buyer. What was the thing that they were trying to prevent being sold? We don't know yet. So after the mission, though, they do visit Isaiah Bradley, who used to be in the Super Soldier, well, unwittingly was placed into the Super Soldier program, fought for his country, and then pretty much betrayed by his country and was in prison for like 30 years, really sucks, but now he's making the best of what he can. And him and Sam and Joaquin are having fun and training and stuff like that. They get invited to go to the White House for like a debrief / party. And there, Thaddeus Ross, who is now the president, asks Sam Wilson to restart the Avengers and work for America. But Sam, not a big fan of that. And but he's conflicted because, he wants to do good, but he knows, why Steve was never under the government and things like that. Why Captain America has to be, I guess, above the government. I mean, I don't know if that's the right way, but saying the Avengers shouldn't be a government entity because we shouldn't let governments telling us who the bad people are, and Sam believed that. Of course, we learned that the item that was being sold back at the beginning of the movie was adamantium, which was from the celestial being that we saw in the Eternals and then just kind of ignored for a couple of years. And now, hey, pulled that back in, right? The adamantium was stolen from a Japanese mining government operation. And, of course, adamantium is the thing that's in Wolverine's claws or covers Wolverine. Hey, we're adding, we're getting, X-Men Beginnings now, right? But I don't know if that's how we're going to get the X-Men in this universe. But, hey, we introduced adamantium, pat ourselves on the back for that one. While all this is happening, some strange music starts playing, and some people in Isaiah Bradley kind of, trip out and try to kill Thaddeus Ross, try to kill the president. So, ruh-roh. Now Sam and Joaquin are in a race to try to clear Isaiah Bradley's name and find out who the villain is behind this attack, man. We learn about Dr. Stearns, who helped Thaddeus Ross become president, develop weapons for him, and even develop a medication for him because it turns out Thaddeus Ross had a heart disease, so this doctor comes up with it to help him, but then is essentially betrayed by Ross and is trapped in a military prison. Ross, who we can see throughout the movie, is taking this medication that was provided by this Dr. Stearns, which to me, probably not the smartest idea. A guy you've in prison and you're still actively taking medicine provided by this guy. Probably, I would be worried about poison or something like that, and so I could already tell right away there's something wrong with these pills. And why am I the only one who realizes this? Anyway, so through finding all this out, now it's a race to the Celestial to get the adamantium. The Japanese government is trying to get the adamantium. Other governments are, but there was supposed to be a peace treaty between the U.S. and all these different countries, and it's pretty much broken down due to a result of what's been happening with these people being brainwashed and trying to kill the president. It turns out the black market sale, there was no buyer. There never was a binder. Sidewinder was tricked, but it was revealed to the Japanese government that this was all a ploy for the American government to just get the adamantium for free and steal it from them. But that's really not what happened, but someone's playing it up. So someone's in the background trying to play all these things up and is framing Thaddeus Ross as a bad person. But who could it be? Clearly not the doctor imprisoned by him, right? It is. It is the doctor imprisoned by him. As it turns out, Dr. Stearns is the leader, and he's got a horrifically deformed forehead, but he's really smart, and it's almost like he's got precog powers or precognition, or what do they call it? Basically, he can predict the future, but it's all through mathematics and probability. He's just so ridiculously smart that based on certain statistical outcomes, he can pretty much pick what people are going to do, except for Sam Wilson, who does the exact opposite of what he thought he was going to do, and that pretty much ruins his whole plan. Spoilers. But then, of course, Sam and Joaquin are able to stop the countries from going to war over adamantium. However, there is a casualty of sorts. Joaquin gets mortally wounded. Don't worry, he doesn't die, but he's definitely in the hospital, for a while. But then while that's all happening, we start to see that something's not quite right with Thaddeus Ross. Of course, fans of the comic books know what's about to take place. But it seemed like the day is saved, man. Sam saved the day. His friend got hurt, but the governments are going to re-up the treaty. And so Thaddeus Ross is given a press conference back at the White House when the leader takes over like the PA and video systems and basically reveals all the horrible things that Thaddeus Ross did with putting him in jail and all these backhanded deals and stuff like that to get to the position of power that he's in. And it, excuse me, I sneezed. Sorry about that. But sorry, sneezing took me out of it. But so basically, the leader pushes Thaddeus Ross over the edge, and it turns out, of course, the pills were poisoned. But what were they poisoned with? Gamma radiation. And so it turns Thaddeus Ross into the Red Hulk, which is what all the commercials and trailers have been showing us. And we waited an hour and 15 minutes to get to, basically. I don't know how long it really is, but it felt like that, an hour and 15 minutes to get to the Red Hulk. And yeah, then him and Captain America fight, and then everything just kind of works out the way it needs to work out. And then Thaddeus Ross is like, you know what? I'm going to turn myself in because I'm a bad man. And I don't want to be a bad man, which honestly was kind of nice. You know, he learned from his past mistakes and said, you know what, I'm going to put myself in a safe place so that way I can just live out the rest of my life peacefully. And there's a beautiful moment where Liv Taylor shows up because, you know, she was, one of the Hulks. I can't remember which one it was, but one of the Banner's girlfriends. And she hadn't been in the movie since way back then, like the first one, the first Hulk movie. And then she came back, cameo, yay, and made everything happy. And that's the story. That's the whole movie. Saved you about an hour and 40 minutes. But you know what? Like, what did this movie do good? Like, what did I like about it? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. When I did the live Comic Cast panel at Comic Palooza, I picked this as my first movie, like at the bottom of the totem pole. So and honestly, at the time, I had it as my lowest movie because one, I had not seen it, and two, I had no desire to see it because the trailers did a horrible job. That's one of the big things that did a disservice to this movie were the trailers and the build-up. I think, one, I don't think we should have known about the Red Hulk in the trailers. I think that's something that, I mean, of course, with Thaddeus Ross in there, like, we knew that was going to happen, but maybe they could have done it in a way where we had no clue that he was going to be a part of this and no clue that the Red Hulk was going to be a part of this movie. But what does it do? But after watching it, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. After watching this movie, Captain America, and getting a chance to just sit through it and think on it, like, it's honestly not terrible. I think it's definitely better than the Eternals. I would probably put it man, it's tough. I think I might put it above the Marvels, maybe not. Like, I don't know, it's good. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, there's definitely a lot wrong with it, but it was a fun movie. Like, I enjoyed watching Captain America, and it was fun. Like, that's what I can say. It's fun. But of course, anything Anthony Mackie does is fun. He's a funny guy. I like his quips. I like his attitude. It's always really good. So, like, the character of Sam Wilson, it's always really good. But so what does this movie do good total? Of course, Sam Wilson, Joaquin Torres, their interactions with each other are great. Like, them bouncing off each other, their attitudes, it's fun. I really enjoyed it. I think they're a great duo. I think they're going to be a great super team together. And spoilers, their new Avengers are going to be a lot, well, not new Avengers, but their Avengers team, I think, is going to be really fun and really cool. I loved Isaiah Bradley, the actor. Carl Lumbly does such a phenomenal job. The scene in here after he gets brainwashed and tries to kill the president, Thaddeus Ross, and then tries to escape. But the scene where he gets caught and is being held at gunpoint, and just his acting and the intensity of that moment, and like things that have happened politically and like in the real world, and just the way he portrays that character, and just the feeling of scaredness and like what happened and things like that. Like, I don't know, that really got to me, you know. Of course, like we hear a lot of things. Well, I've heard a lot of things with like, you know, people with mental disabilities and getting involved with the police, and the police don't quite understand like what this person's going through. And I know this is a bit of a stretch, but there's a lot of similarities between this, like this Isaiah Bradley being brainwashed and not being all there mentally, and like realizing like he's in a situation that he doesn't know how he got there, and is scared and confused. And like I felt that, man. I felt that moment. I felt his acting, and I felt for the character Isaiah Bradley. And to me, he was. It was tragic that I did not get enough Isaiah Bradley in this movie, because he was such a fantastic actor, or and how he portrayed this character. And the character of Isaiah Bradley, I think, is a very interesting one, because like, what do you do with the banished Captain America, which is what he was, you know? Like, that to me, that's such an interesting storyline, and that's such an interesting character, that it's a shame that they don't play that up in this movie, because I feel like they could have. The other thing this movie does good, though, is it's very grounded. It's back to basics. It's back. I mean, Captain America, other than having the super serum, like super soldier serum, like, but what Sam Wilson doesn't have, and that's kind of played a little bit in here too. Is like, oh, maybe I should take the serum, like, and be better than I am now. But, like, it's just a very grounded story with grounded characters. Nothing too crazy, other than the Red Hulk, who shows up, but not till the end. But, you know, very Captain America type characters, and very military like characters, trying to play a little bit of the espionage and the who can you trust and who can't you trust, with like the leader being able to brainwash people. Like, getting back to like the Winter Soldier of things was kind of cool, and I really enjoyed that. And then of course it uses like loose ends, like it ties up some of the stuff from the Eternals with the Celestial, you know, like, why has this thing been here for so long and no one's really talking about it? Well, it gets really talked about, and like what governments are doing about it. So that was really neat and really cool, I thought. But there's a lot of shortcomings with this movie, right? Talked about, really, I feel like they did not utilize these characters great. Like, Isaiah Bradley should have been more involved than he was in this story. The villains themselves, like Esposito and his Sidewinder, is grossly misused in this movie. I think using Esposito for the character Sidewinder is the gross misuse of resources here, because I mean, like, he's a fantastic actor, a huge crowd favorite actor, and to just put him on kind of like a side character, you know, like, that kind of sucks. The leader, and who plays the leader? Tim Blake Nelson plays the leader. He's phenomenal when he's on screen, but he's mostly a background shadow type character, like working in the shadows and doing everything. So like, you don't get a lot of his story. And then of course the Red Hulk, which is pretty much all you see in the marketing, you only get 5 minutes, like, at the end of the movie. And so like, it's just, it could have been so much better. It could have been so much cooler. I don't know. I think Esposito's character Sidewinder, there wasn't much more you could do with him than having him kind of be involved with things. I was going to say, man, this would have been great to have Crossbones for our Bat Truck, the Leaper, or whatever, who you've seen in other Captain America movies. But Crossbones is dead, if I remember correctly, and because that's what kicks off Civil War. And I don't know what's happened to the Leaper. Is he dead too? I can't remember. But like, those characters could have been used, and maybe Esposito's character could have been, I mean, he's supposed to be like the head of Serpent, like such a more, and like, but you know, spoilers, he doesn't die in this movie. I think he just gets captured, or negotiates his capture. So we could see more Sidewinder. There is a chance for a better version of, or like a more terrifying version of this character. And because he seems like he could be. Right now, he's just kind of like more of a drug boss. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting from him. But who knows? I think, and I saw this on Reddit, someone talked about it, and I completely agree with this, is we should have really built up Isaiah Bradley and Dr. Stern, the leader, their story way more, and tie it in with Thaddeus Ross way more, because these are both people who were betrayed by the U.S. government, but one still ends up good and the other one's evil. And so these two characters who have similar stories, you know, being taken in by this government, experimented on, and then used for the government's gain, like, play those up, you know, because Isaiah Bradley does have issues with the government and what in the treatment, how he was treated. This dude was put in jail for 30 years and then released like, oh, our bad, like that. Like, so there's got to be resentment there. And you see part of that in this movie with him talking with Sam. And like, basically like, why are you like working with the government? Why are you working with Thaddeus Ross? Why are you being this bootlicker, you know? Like, and so like, you could have really played into that, you know, and then have the leader who has the same ideas, but, you know, he's gone over the edge, like, to full villain. And then you have it at a head where, like, the leader still manipulates everything. Like, the leader does not do his own dirty work, right? But, like, the leader still manipulates everything to put Isaiah against Ross, because the leader wants Ross dead. He wants him humiliated, outed, and dead. And what better person to use than a super soldier in Isaiah Bradley, who could put an end to the Red Hulk because of his strength and the serum that's running through his body and the emotions that he has and the resentment that he has for the U.S. government. And pit these two characters against one another, have Sam try to be the mediator of trying to figure out, like, do I work for the government, support the government, or do I like understand that Captain America has to work beyond these borders and can't be told what to do, and still try to find a peaceful solution to these two that want to kill each other. And I feel like that could have been a way more compelling movie than what we get. And someone brought that up on Reddit, and I like 100% agree with that. But like, I think that comes a lot from, I really love Isaiah Bradley. Like, if we don't get a like TV series, like a Disney Plus series of like the exploits of Isaiah Bradley's character, back in, I think, was it the Vietnam or the Korean War? I can't remember which one he had. Like, that would be awesome, you know? And I think that if you make the Captain America Brave New World more about Isaiah Bradley and like more personal stakes, I think it could have been a lot better, because that was the other thing I had against this movie, is the stakes aren't really that high. Like, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, and it just kind of works itself out. But anyway, there's some problems with the movie, but it's not the worst movie. I thought it did okay. That being said, that's all that I got for you guys this week. Thank you so much for listening to the Bry-Fy podcast, and we will see you guys next week. Bry-Fy out.